Okay, I'm coming on and I want to read Job 38, and I want you to have open ears and eyes in for this one and to think of this a little differently. This and yes, God does speak in allegories, God speaks in figurative language and all that, but I read this with new eyes the other day when I was going into biblical cosmology and like biblical like biology and that type of thing. And I read this and I was like, wait, could this really be? And so I'm going to read through it and then I'm going to expand on it. But it's Job 38, and it is on the longer side. But this is God's rebuke of Job. And so he's telling it from Yahweh's perspective, or God's perspective, the great and mighty Father Adonai. And but yeah, so it says, then the Lord Adonai answered Job out of the storm. He said, "Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge?" So God is a God of like abundance of knowledge and wisdom, and we can ask for it. Brace yourself like a man, and I will question you, and you will answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundations? A ball does not have foundations. It says, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation?" Think of a house, because it says that on like I'll build my house on the rock that is Peter. So foundation. So you have a house laying a foundation. Does a ball have a foundation? No, it does not. Tell me if you understand. You marked off its dimensions. So yeah, he knows exactly how big. Surely you know, who stretched a measuring line across it. So he stretched a measuring line across the earth, and because he's that big. And actually, I mean, I've seen like, and it says earth is his footstool, but I've seen him where like he's doing this, and like he's out over me, and like I'm in his hand, and I'm this big, and it's yeah, he's beyond all time and space, and like I'm not gonna go on and put words but for him, but yeah, he's yeah, amazing. He can do all things, he can be all things. He stretched out a measuring line across it. On what were its footings set? Footings are set when you build a house. Whenever you build a house, you have footings that are set in place. So that tells me that there are footings. Or who laid its cornerstone? Ball doesn't have a cornerstone. House has a cornerstone. That would be like a cornerstone. So, while the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy. The morning stars sang together. They are not well, some of them are I mean, we have what, 7 planets that includes our moon. And it says morning stars sing together and all the angels shouted for joy. The morning stars are angels shouting for joy. And NASA and their BS, these are CGI. Everything they do, the pictures wise that is in our astronomy are CGI. Sorry to burst your bubble, but if you look up the word NASA in Hebrew, it means deceive. And if you look at their logo, that red part, that comes in like this, if you've ever seen a picture with a snake, that's the tongue. So yeah, we've been deceived. And who is the serpent? The devil. Who shut up the sea behind doors. So there are other places where it talks about Noah and the doors being set, and I'm going to go over many passages with regards to that. But the heavens, it says that they were laid out, that there was an expanse between to separate the waters above from the waters below, and that heaven was placed over the top of the firmament. And I can prove all this through scripture, and I'm going to do it through my messages. When it burst forth from the womb, so it's just like all of the doors opening up. When Noah had all of whatever, the doors opened and all of the water rushed out. And And in parts of God's word, it talks about how the throne room, how there's rivers flowing out from the throne room and from his throne. And about the four rivers, the Gihon, the Pison, I can't remember the other two. Was it the Tigris and Euphrates, maybe? But these were the rivers of Eden. And I can't remember where I saw it, but there was, it was in was it like the Revelation of Paul or something? But it told about the four rivers and what they were, which was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm getting when I made the clouds its garment, and wrapped it in thick darkness. When I fixed limits for it, so that's limits for the sea, and set its doors and bars in place. So the sea is only allowed to come to certain places, and that's why it is where it is. He set limits on it as to where it could go, and this is in other books of the Bible as well. So when I said this far you may come and no further, here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever given orders to the morning or shown the dawn its place? So the orders, according to books of the Bible, and to the book of Enoch, it talks about portals. It talks about how there are these portals, and the sun comes out from one portal and goes in another at certain times of the year. And so this is God gives orders because everything, the wind is caused by God, and I can prove it over the next couple of messages where I'm going to go through all this scientific stuff, and I'm going to prove to you that there's, if you would read it, they've tried to hide it from you, but it's God has given me new eyes to see, or shown dawn its place, that it might take the earth by the edges. A ball doesn't have edges. It says take the earth by the edges. In other words, comes up off of one edge and goes to another. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, if it's a disc, oh, well, all the water should go off of it. You really think God's that dumb? It's like a bowl. It's like an indentation, like my hand kind of thing, where it's held in like this, where the land and everything, and it has an outer whatever. And I've seen a dream where he took me underground, and I saw a column that was shaking, and it had what was interesting, it had a like a catacombs kind of feel to it because it had an opening, and it had like bricks above and bricks below. It was pretty interesting. So take the earth by edges and shake the wicked out of it. The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. The wicked are denied their light, and their upraised arm is broken. Have you ever journeyed to the springs of the sea? You can see springs. Like there are a lot of springs. Like in Florida, we have like the Wakulla Spring. We have there's so many springs. Just look up springs, and you'll see them in Missouri. You'll see them all over the place. Actually, if you look at that gazetteer right there, has Colorado, and on it are springs all over. People that traveled west use these springs in order to get water, and there are springs in the sea that are coming up from underneath. It's like, where do you think the water starts with a Colorado and with the Snake River and all these big rivers? They start out as little springs way up in the mountains. Or walked across the recesses of the deep. Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you ever seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you ever comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all of this. So he's basically kind of reproving Job, and because up to this point, I mean, Job and his friends have been going over all different aspects of his life and why Job was going through what he's gone through. It's like God puts people through what he does because it gets you ready for heaven. B, he needs you to be ready for your life's other trials. He also wants you to be humble. He also wants you to I mean, if God allowed every good thing and nothing bad, you would not appreciate the good things. You would not want to come to him. So heaven and the earth would look, well, no, like you would accept the earth, like, oh, I like it here because it's all good things. But yeah, this world is wicked and wrong. Holy crap. Uh, what is the way to the abode of light, and where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? So he's talking about the sun and the moon here. So it says the paths. So the way that Enoch describes, and yes, you may say, "Oh, well, Enoch's a bad book. You can't. Oh, it's a tainted book." Well, there's other books that kind of hint to this as well. There are other passages that I'll point out in the latter stuff that it also talks about paths, and it talks about how stuff does, but it talks about how the sun is sevenfold brighter than the moon. That's one fold of the sun. And it talks about two great lights. And in certain books of the Bible and in the Apocrypha, it talks about how the stars are called luminaries. They're and then NASA wants you to believe, and maybe way out there, there may be nebulas and all this other stuff, but yeah. So do you know surely you know you were already born. You have lived so many years. Exclamation point. He's basically like, okay, yeah, you haven't been born that long. You're talking about a God whose life at this point, who's gone through many earths at this point, who's gone through many years, and Job has gone through. I don't know at this point how old Job was. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow? So storehouses of the snow. So the snow doesn't come from just random places. There are storehouse, and it talks about. It says, or seen the storehouses of hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle. What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed? So yes, so there's storehouses for rain, and there are cycles as well, but God is the one that supplies the springs of water. God is the one that does the hail. He is the one that does the snow and the dew and the mist and everything. He is the one that controls the wind. He is the one that brings food to prey. And I can prove this to you as well because of other scriptures that I'll do in other messages. And then it says, what is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed? So there's specific places where God wants the lightning to hit. Why? I mean, it's he does it for certain reasons. So or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth. So there's the east, the north, the south, and the west winds that come, and angels are over it. And I don't know if they come from storehouses or how they're done, but they do happen. Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain? So yeah, so he's the one that's cutting torrents of rain. And we don't know everything why certain and think like with the floods and everything. I know people are dying and everything with these floods, but what is also going on that you may not be aware of is there's cloud seeding where they put chemical, and you can look this up. Look up cloud seeding, and you'll see that they put in elements into the clouds and can control them. The demons are trying to control the weather via their technologies. One's called HARP, HARP. And then they also do cloud seeding, and they also have other technologies that have been here for quite a long time that alter where rain goes and what they do. And this has become more and more evident as the knowledge comes out. So it's the devil that is causing major amounts of catastrophe. However, God is allowing it to do what he wants. So, yeah. And a path for the thunderstorm, to water a land where no man lives, and a desert with no one in it. So he's watering land where no one's in it because he takes care of his creation. Like he loves his creation, and he does not like when people destroy. And he does say to have dominion over it. He does say to subdue it and to be over it, but he doesn't say to beat the poop out of it and pollute the crap out of it. And hey, do whatever you feel in it because it's not meaningless. Every little bit of it has meaning. Plants are there for seeds and for food and for medicines, and I can prove that too. to satisfy a desolate wasteland, to make it sprout with grass? Does the rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? Sorry. From whose womb comes the ice? There's another storehouse with ice. And womb is just another way of saying storehouse. Who gives birth to the frost from the heavens? When the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind? And so, okay, so that was that part. Can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? The Pleiades are the seven sisters, and they are in the constellation Taurus, which is the bull. And then it says, can you loose the cords of Orion? I was reading today about Orion, and he is called the Great Hunter. There was one person who was called the Great Hunter on this world, Nimrod, who there's a lot of the traditions have origins during Tammuz and Nimrod and Ishtar and all that. They all come from that time, and it says that there was a myth that Nimrod got put as the Great Hunter in the sky because he was not right with God, and so his I don't know if punishment or exile or whatever you want to call it, he was put into the skies. Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons? God is the one that controls constellations, and God is the one that makes things revolve. If it's I don't know if the Earth has. Potentially the Earth could rotate a little bit, but I don't know. But I think that the vault over heaven, they all have their paths and their courses over us, like the angels and that type of thing. That's why when you see a time lapse of stars, you see them in like circular patterns, because they all have their motions, which they do. Or lead out the bear with its cubs. So there's what is it called? Was it the little bear and the big bear? The cups that point towards the North Star. Those are two constellations where Polaris is pointed out, and I can't remember if it's a little one or a big one where Polaris is, but Polaris is pointed out by the bear constellations. Do you know the laws of the heavens? So there's laws in the heavens of how everything is governed, from the stars to the moon to the sun to the storehouses to how angels do everything. God has already come up with everything. Can you set up God's dominion over the earth? God has dominion over everything. He is the one that controls people somewhat. Yes, we have free will, but he is the one that causes people to be in certain places at certain times. He's the one that causes jobs to happen and to food happen for all of his creation. Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? God is the one that does this. Do they report to you? Here we are. Well, obviously they have to report to someone, so they report to God. Who endowed the heart with wisdom or gave understanding to the mind? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens? So is water in heavens in water jars? Yeah, looks like it. When the dust, and I know this may be far-fetched, we're like, oh, no way, this is too out there. It's like, why not? And when we start understanding that the environment and everything else is controlled by God, and all this happens, we're like, oh, well, he really is in everything. Because it says that the creation and the heavens show God's work. Well, if this is all happening, well, it's showing God's work. It's showing his glory and majesty. It says that his invisible attributes are visible in our world. And there's a lot of invisible parts of it that most people can't see. There's demons floating around. There's angels. There's all kinds of other beings and different things. And in the Bible, it's coming to mind that God made things out of the invisible qualities. When the dust becomes hard and the clouds of earth stick together, do you hunt the prey? So here's how God controls the food for the prey. Because it says, do you hunt the prey for the lioness, The lioness is the female lion, and satisfy the hunger of the lions. So yeah, when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in a thicket, who provides food for the raven, and when its young cry out to God and wander about for lack of food. So God is saying that He provides the food for all of His creation. He makes things happen in order to provide food enough for His creation. And then when man comes in and tries to manipulate it, and that's when things don't go right and things start dying, is because we have manipulated it. That's why you see animals dying, is because of us. We try to manipulate the nature and the environment, thinking, oh, well, we know better. And and corporations and other things have polluted the crap out of this place, claiming that, oh, well, we're just doing this. Oh, it's supposed to be that way. Like, no, it's not. And I'm going to go on into 39 as well, just a little bit. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you watch when the doe bears her fawn? Do you count the months till they bear? Do you know the time they give birth? They crouch down and bring forth their young. Their labor pains are ended. Their young thrive and leave and do not return. Who let the wild donkey go free? I gave him the wasteland as his home and the salt flats as his habitat. He laughs at the commotion in the town. He does not hear a driver's shout. He ranges the hills for his pasture and searches for any green. Will the wild oxen sent to serve you? Which obviously it's serving God. Will he stay by your manger at night? So God had and actually this is pointing straight to and this is in the Old Testament. It's pointing straight to Jesus's birth. He was born in a manger, was he not? At night. Can you hold him to the fur of harness? Will the valleys behind you? Will you rely on him as great strength? Will you leave your heavy work to him? Can you trust him to bring in your grain and gather in the threshing floor? So, and I'm going to just stop there. But hopefully you get my point. I'm sure I see things in a vastly different way than a lot of people, but I just want to put these thoughts in your head. It's like, okay, well, what if this is not a figurative? Oh, well, the chords. Oh, well, he's just talking about figuratively. No, it's like, what if this is real? What if there are invisible chords it's like there's invisible chords going to our soul and spirit, right? I mean, going from Him. That's where the Holy Spirit is coming from. And we're still learning about dark matter, and there's a field called quantum mechanics that is mind-blowing, that we still only know a fraction of how everything works. It's like, and that's the field where Stephen Hawking and what's the other guy's name? The African-American guy, Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. But these people are on the cutting edge of work, and we're still learning how things are done. So I wanted to go into this one chapter and show you, it's like, hey, there's a lot more going on. And this was God's rebuke of Job. And it's like, okay, why darkening my counsel. So he on one hand, God's not happy. Well, no, this is God's way of saying, hey, there's more going on than you're aware of. And he's also saying that there's a reasoning behind why I'm allowing you to go through what you go through. Because the devil was like, oh, well, he wanted to test Job and wanted to say, to show God, it's like, oh, he's going to just spit in your face and go against you and do all this blah, blah, blah. And God was like, okay, well, do everything that you whatever. And in the end, Job gained, was it double what he had before? He had twice as much of everything that he used to have, and had daughters and sons and everything else. And so, yeah. But thank you for listening, and hopefully you got something out of this. God bless you all, and bye for now.